But I'm so thrilled y'all are here. Like I said before, these are literally some of my favorite humans. And hosting a masterclass like this makes me so happy because I want to connect with people and see your faces and really start to try and make some differences in people's lives. And so this is free. I'm going to start doing them once a month. And if you guys have topics that you want me to cover, you can always shoot me DMs or like, help me with boundaries, help me with trying to stop saying sorry, help me with, asking for what I want so I can actually get it, help me, break up with a friend, like help me do things that I need to do. Because I don't think any of this should ever be more painful than it has to be. And I want to make sure everybody feels like they've got people in their corner that can help them thrive and live the life that we want to be living. My goal ultimately is for us to stop being in pain and start loving our lives, period. Right? I speak specifically to moms. That's my niche, but all of the things I'm saying can be applied to humans. And so if you hear me say mom, just replace that with your name, because you know that all of this is just very generalized. It can help all people, but I do specifically speak to moms. But the fact that you're here on a busy Monday is amazing. And so before we kick off, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to stop multitasking. Sorry. I want you to just take a deep breath. I want you to just relax your shoulders. Inhale. If you want to put your hand on your heart, your other hand on your stomach, unclench your jaw, shake out your arms if you need to, get comfy in your chair, feel your feet on the ground, feel your butt in that chair. Take a deep breath. Let go of the guilt, let go of the worry. You've said yes to this, so commit. Don't half-ass it. Trust that these minutes are going to be helpful and make a difference in your life. And believe that everything you're worrying about not getting done will actually get done, and it will be okay. Use this time to learn some new things and to work with me. It's going to be a better use of your energy to focus on this with me rather than trying to do 3 things at once and miss out on the point of this workshop. You are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you're meant to be doing. So breathe in and breathe out all the guilt and all the negativity, and just breathe in trust and belief and confidence. I like to say, I release my feelings of guilt and negativity. They do not serve me. And I breathe in belief and confidence in myself. Even if you have a favorite color that makes you happy, I sometimes will breathe in that color, breathe in yellow, breathe in blue, and I'll breathe out sharp colors that seem to trigger me. Just breathe it out. When you focus on your well-being and you prioritize yourself, it does trickle into the other areas of your life. So if you're worrying about someone else, just know that the work you're going to do right now is actually going to benefit them later on. So if you feel like you're taking time away from your business partners or your kids or your family or your laundry, just know that those things are going to actually benefit after you've done this work on yourself. So thank you. Yay. So now we're ready to go dive in. Stick around. I am just going to pour a lot of information into you guys. If you do have questions, go ahead and jot them down, and then we can do a live Q&A at the end if you have time. If not, you can always DM those questions to me as well. And why stress? Why am I talking so much about stress? Why is this so important to me? It's really the foundation of my life coaching. Everyone experiences stress. Sometimes it can be for good and it can help you focus on the task at hand. Think golfer, your wedding, a presentation that matters to you. But when stress is frequent and intense and chronic, it can strain your body in a way that you don't even realize. And it makes it impossible to function at your best. And it really robs you of enjoying this life. It's also a massive waste of energy. So if you're busy working from home, and if you're a mom and you're trying to wake up and have some energy, just recognize if you can lower the stress that you walk around with during the day, you will have a surplus of energy. And there are effective ways to deal with your stress because it's crucial. If you manage your stress better, you can live better. It's really the most amazing discovery I've had for myself. The pace you're living, the busy that you're doing is directly resulting in the way that you're feeling. I want you to be honest with yourself about that. Your mindset, your choices, your actions, these are creating your results. Our experiences create our results, and our choices create our experiences. So the good news is it's all in your own hands to change it. The bad news is you have to have a hard look at yourself and recognize the role that you're playing in it. But it's possible to make some simple changes in your life to where you will actually start to feel better. I'm proof of that. I'm a mom of 3. My husband travels all the time. I've literally started a business out of my house, and I've never been more at peace than ever in my life. And so if I can do it, I know you can do it, which is why I have to tell you about it, because I want to help you. I'm like dying to make sure everybody feels the way that I feel. And so think about how you experience your day. Is it calm? Is it peaceful? Is it happy? Or is your day stressed and frazzled and anxious? Because if you're waking up stressed and you're racing from thing to thing to thing, only doing stuff for everyone else and never for yourself, are you enjoying your life? Are you hitting the pillow at night saying, that was a great day, I'm really happy? Or are you hitting the pillow and you're saying, holy shit, what did I even do today? I don't remember. I was so stressed out. I was on autopilot. I was busy. I can't even, what did you do today? I can't even tell you. I don't even remember. And so it's really kind of stepping back and thinking, how am I literally starting my morning and going about my day? You did not work your ass off to get yourself where you are just to check things off your do list, crush the carpool route, lose your shit on the daily, and walk around not feeling your best. Like, this is not what we all dreamed about as kids. Like, I can't wait to be an adult so I can just freaking hate my days and be so stressed out I don't even remember what I'm doing. And what I'm trying to make sure you understand, it's possible. I think a lot of us get into this mindset that this is just how it's supposed to be. This is just mom life, or being an entrepreneur, or living the American dream. I'm just supposed to be in pain and exhausted and anxious and stressed. And so we don't question it a lot. We don't ever step back and think, could I be doing this easier on myself? Does it have to be this painful and stressful? And here's what I do know. It just, when you become a mom or when you become an adult, it is not a job requirement for you to be stressed as shit. It doesn't make you better at what you're trying to do. It just makes you stressed. And you actually can value your health and your life and value the people that need you the most. It doesn't have to be this, it's either my health or their health, or it's my happiness or it's their happiness. This either or mindset, it can change. It can actually be a both or more. And when you do finally say it is a both and more, you're then able to show up at your best for everyone who needs you the most. That was a big epiphany for me. I thought I had to just give in order to really prove that I loved, or that I was worth being here, that I was doing a great job. What I recognized is that I was actually then not really helping anybody, because I was a shell of myself and I wasn't really living my best. And so then I wasn't able to give my best. And so, especially with our mindset nowadays, and with all women on here, there's this fear of like wanting something different, or going after an appetite, or going after a desire. A lot of times we feel guilty about wanting more or wanting different. We think it betrays the life that we have, especially for a mom. You think, I chose this. I have kids. There's people in the world who can't have kids. Why am I not happy? Why is this not enough for me? Why should I be questioning more? I'm so ungrateful. Gosh, and so then you just, I'm fine. I'll worry about me later. I'll do it when they're older. I don't need it. It's this very flippant, like our needs are just like we flick them away. Like they're just not a big deal because I get everything I need from the work I'm doing and the mom I am and, living for other people. That can last you about this long. We're amazing humans. We can tolerate a lot and our adrenaline carries us a lot, but eventually the neglect, the self-neglect, the chronic stress, the busy, the pace, it will catch up to you. Probably not how you were expecting. It's probably going to show up in a way that in a way physically that you weren't expecting. That's going to be very hard to handle. It's also contagious. Stress is contagious. So if you're stressed, your kids will be too. My daughter had finals last week and we were running late and I was starting to stress out because I hadn't fed her and everything was going wrong and everything. And she finally just said, Mom, you're stressing me out. Your tone of voice is stressing. She's like, can you just slow down a bit? She liked Coach Me. And it helped me. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. I was starting to elevate the entire temperature of the house and I was bringing everything and everyone with me. And so then I was just feeding into that frazzled, stressed mindset. So our whole house was like this. You are the nucleus in your life. So you want everything here to be at your optimal because then everything here then shoots out to those around you. And when you're here, this is where the healing takes place and the peace takes place. And that's what you want to be contagious to the people around you, not the stress. Your kids and your family and your friends, they are going to replicate your actions and your behaviors. And so ask yourself, are you going to like what you see based on how you're going through your day? If they really mirror you, are you going to be happy with what is coming back to you? And a lot of times with us, we connect with people. This is about that contagiousness. We connect with people who are also stressed and we get into this like competition. I'm so stressed. No, I'm so stressed. No, I'm so stressed. Here are the 45 things I have to do before the summer. No, here are the 45 things I have to do. So then we complain and we compare and we vent, but we don't do anything about it. We just continue on. And we're not really honest with ourselves that we are where we are because of what we've done. The daily actions, the mindset, the narrative in our heads, the habits, the routine, the company. I know you can't like drop your kids off on the corner. I know we can't shrek all of our responsibilities, but we can identify some things that possibly could take a back seat or maybe even be removed. And we'll talk about that today. It's not only about what you're doing, but it's also who you are when you're doing these things. Stressed as shit mom, stressed as shit person. That means you're going to parent stressed, you're driving stressed, you're eating stressed, you're sleeping stressed. I mean, to be frank, your body cannot even rest and heal when it's stressed. This is why if you've ever had a moment in your day where you could actually sit down and chill, you can't. You physically cannot. You can't just sit there and watch the show. You have to also email and listen to the podcast and fold the laundry, or you're doing 45 things at once. You can't just put your feet up. It's because your body is actually in a stressed state. And unless you turn that stress state off, it actually can't sit down and heal. Does that make sense? It's like biologically, we actually can't convince ourselves to sit and rest if we are in a stress state. And it's hard, especially for moms and busy entrepreneurs and, starting new jobs, because you're more susceptible if you're not getting enough sleep, if you don't have a good network of support, any kind of major life change, such as moving, new job, having a child, getting married, the death of a loved one, not eating well, not taking care of your basic needs. All of this leaves you very vulnerable to receiving more stress. And that's where it's feels probably overwhelming when I tell you that it's your responsibility. But the nice thing is it's your responsibility. You don't have to sit and actually wait for someone else to come and tell you, okay, this is what you do. You can do it. And the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is like tuning in to your beautiful body. We're so used to the stress that we are feeling, this pace that we're running, that we actually don't even notice the red flags that our bodies are trying to send to us. And all of us have a very unique threshold for pain. Your body is your temple, and it can only handle what your body can handle. And then it can't handle it anymore. And that's when you hit a wall. That's when burnout happens. That's when the insomnia happens, the loss of libido, the yelling, the loss of appetite, the digestion problems. Take fatigue, massive sign of stress. It's hard for us nowadays, the way we live, to recognize that fatigue is actually stress. But it isn't just your late night Netflix binge. That's not what it is. It's not just because you stayed out late on Saturday night. It's really your body's way of saying, I'm giving you some feedback that the pace you're running right now, we're not good. What else do we need? What are we missing? Are you giving yourself some breaks? Do you only care for other people and not yourself? Do you push yourself to the brink and think that you have no other options? So if you sit back and actually listen, like, oh my gosh, it's Monday, I woke up after the weekend and I'm still exhausted. If you're a nursing mom, this doesn't apply to you, that's different. But if you're running at your normal pace of life and you're still waking up every single day exhausted, this is fatigue, and this is a red flag. This is your body's way to tell you, we need to step back and to start asking ourselves, what do we need to be doing differently? And too often, I think we miss the signs and we don't take it seriously, or we think it's temporary, and that Mother's Day or an upcoming vacation or that girls' weekend, it's finally going to solve everything. Or if I could just get the job, or if I could just make that thing, if school would just get out for summer, if my kid would just stop potty training, then everything will be okay. But what happens is that thing comes and the fatigue is still there. Like the fatigue lingers, it's not gone. And then you're frustrated. You're like, what the, like, I'm doing all the stuff I thought I was supposed to be doing, and I'm still not feeling better. And that's where tuning in and really listening to your body and starting to really take note of your limits. Your body is a wealth of knowledge. I think it's like the most fascinating thing. We have so much data all stored right here, and it's taking notes and it's processing it and it's keeping score. Just even if you're not mentally keeping score, your body is. And if you're used to the pace that you're living, it's still affecting your body on the inside. And that's where you're going to move out of they have, stress has hidden and visible effects. The visible ones are the headache, the trouble sleeping, the jaw pain, the loss of libido, the changes in appetite. But then you're also going to possibly move into serious chronic anxiety, depression, high blood pressure, heart disease. It does not ever just go away. Even if you don't feel stressed in your moment, if your body is in a stressed response, stuff is happening to you biologically. And so it's really, I'm asking you to really get to know yourself and to really start to respect your body, that I have terrible pain in my neck right now. Yeah, I could say this is because I, watched too much Bridgerton last night, or I was leaning over my computer, but you know what? This has been here for a while. This is stress. This is my body's way of saying, what are you not getting enough of in your life right now? What are you, I think of us as cars all the time. Like, what are you not fueling yourself with right now? You're literally driving down the highway 1,000 miles a minute and you're not fueling your tank. This is my body's way to tell me that things are off balance. So you have to listen to your limits, the feedback your body is giving you. And that's really the only thing that I want to matter to you, because it doesn't matter how your next door neighbor is managing their life. or how that person on Instagram is managing their stress, totally different person. What triggers them might not trigger you. Their limits are totally different than your limits. And so you have to be I talk about this a lot with my clients. We have to find your recipe. That's why it's so like, yeah, you can Google WebMD, you can go in there and be like, help me with stress, but then it never works because it isn't a one size fits all, because they don't have the data of how you're living your day. Only you have that information, and only you have the data that your body is actually giving to you. And that's where you really have to tune in and respect your body. That's like my number one tip. Symptoms are good. I don't want to discourage you. I think of symptoms as they all have positive intentions, right? They're all just trying to tell you something. And so I think of symptoms as a really powerful doorway for change. And so like, it's a really cool opportunity. Like your body only wants you to be at your best. So just trust that your body literally is just like fighting tooth and nail to make you the best you could possibly be. So if your body's giving you a signal, racing heart, clenched jaw, headache, the fatigue, if you're having trouble digesting food, this is all connected to stress and the pace that we're living. And so, yeah, tip number 2 is this is not a one size fits all. I know you want me to list out the 3 surefire ways to help you cope. I will give you those things. But really, everybody has to find their unique system. I can tell you, like, my surefire way is deep breathing, conscious breathing. That might not help somebody else. Their surefire way might be going for a walk or running or doing a dance in their kitchen, but you have to test things out and to see, oh, that really worked. I do feel a difference. I did notice myself coming from this place to this place when I just waved my arms around like a bird. That really helped me. And this does help me, by the way. So don't laugh. It actually does help. But you really have to know yourself better in order to reduce your stress. It has to be a personalized approach. Because, yeah, what stresses you out and how you live your life and what you can handle, it's personal and it's crucial. And that actually leads me to something I find so unbelievably fascinating. And that is our stress response. You've all heard of it. It's the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. This is controlled by a part of your body called the autonomic stress response, which is unconscious. So it is the same part of your body that controls your breathing and your heartbeat. So how you respond to a stressful situation is actually unconscious. You can thank your ancestors for that, because it literally was developed if you're a fighter, your ancestors were the cavemen who were going out and they were like, oh my gosh, I got to get food, but now I'm facing a woolly mammoth, like, holy shit, right? So it's really, really important. This is connected to that, your unique way. How you uniquely manage stress is really important, because if you understand how you manage your stress, then you can do a really good job to avoid triggers that are going to send you into that stress response as best as you can. I know we can't avoid stress altogether, but we can be very intentional about how we allow stress in our life, like a fight response. If you are a fighter, then I would say try to avoid Black Friday sales at Target with 10,000 people when you're trying to get your kid the gift they have to have, and it's only available that day. That's probably an avoidable, super stressful situation. If you are a fighter, it's so good to know what you are so that you can think, okay, that's probably not going to be the healthiest position for me to put myself in. It's the same way, like, I know I'm an extroverted introvert. I know now that over the holidays, 2 parties is all I can handle. But if I literally put myself in a party every single day, all through the holiday season, I would only have myself to blame for that. And it would send me into a stress response, and I would be in such bad shape. So it all goes back to like really tuning into yourself, listening to what triggers you and how you respond to it, to be able to sit back and say, okay, am I setting myself up for success with how I'm going through my day and the situations I'm putting myself in? There's some situations we can't avoid altogether, but if you know you have a stressful situation happening on Tuesday, what can you do to make sure you're not putting yourself in stressful situations before that event? And then what can you do after that event to make sure you give yourself time to recover? So it's all just really paying attention to your body. Really, it all comes back. We go through this, we're always on autopilot, and we kind of go through our day without much thought or intention. And at the end of the day, I swear most of us are like, okay, I guess that's just how it is. I just feel like shit. I just have another crappy day where I just crap, and now my only thing that makes me feel better is binging Netflix, because it's the only thing that's turning off all this stress and thoughts and guilt and pain. And so then I'm staying up all night and I'm setting myself up for the exact same day the next day. It's like, I think about us. I know we're more special than an actual car, but it's the best way I can think about it. When you're stressed, your central nervous system is lit up like a Christmas tree. Just think all systems go. Every switch is flipped up, right? Because it has to get your body ready for the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. And it doesn't know the difference between actually facing a bear or an imagined stress response. Your body physiologically responds the exact same way. So when you're stressed, you're in a car, it's like you've hit the pedal to the metal and you're literally speeding down the highway, and you're doing it for 24 hours straight. You're not stopping to change the tires. You're not putting good gas in the car. You're not pulling over to check the engine. And so guess what? Eventually you're going to overheat and you're going to break down. And that's when you hit the wall, right? That's when you're literally, your only solution at that point is to react to the place that you're in. Like, okay, now I'm reacting to the fact that I'm totally burned out. I'm reacting to the fact that all systems are melting down, that I feel like I'm totally out of control. It's really important for you to figure out how you naturally respond to stress so that you can handle these triggers and hit the brake on the gas, so that you're not just going, and it's literally suffering through chronic stress without ever giving yourself a break. And then when you're in a stressed response, you're in this, I don't want to get too technical, but you're in this thing called, it's a sympathetic stress response. When your body is in that stress response, it actually turns off digestion, healing, and rest. So if you're always in a stressed response and you're sitting down to eat your meal, your body actually can't digest the food that you're putting into your system. So all those nutrients, all that fuel, all those vitamins, it's like they just go straight through your body. And so then you're in this stress response. And then when you finally turn it off, you have no fuel and your body has no way to heal itself. And this is why I think we run like we're sports cars, but we treat ourselves like we're, a skateboard. And then we're shocked when we hit the wall, when we're totally done, where you feel like those days where you're like, I don't even understand it. I thought I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. I thought I took a break yesterday. I thought I had that night off. I didn't do the nighttime routine, or I didn't do that extra phone call. I thought I took that time. The problem is we're never really taking our foot off the gas and hitting the brake on stress. And so that's where that chronic stress comes in. One of the ways to help get yourself out of that stress response immediately, avoid it altogether, which I know is impossible to do. Deep breathing, conscious breathing. This is honestly my surefire way. I do this in traffic. I do this on Zoom calls. I did it before this call. I do it when my husband's talking to me about taxes or the credit card bill. But you just breathe in 5 counts really deeply. You hold it for 5, and then you breathe out for 7. I can actually, now that I've been doing it more and more, I can actually feel my stress literally draining out of my body when I do this. I say a minimum of 3 of these conscious breaths, but if you could do 7 to 10, you will start to notice like, holy crap, I can actually feel my heart rate dropping. I can feel the tension releasing out of my jaw. Movement in the moment, standing up. This is why if you're at work, I think doing a stand-up desk is really helpful. If you can pace around your office. I wave my arms. This helps me a lot. Stretching, yoga. This is called a butterfly hug. This is really, really good at calming a stress response. And you can kind of just tap your hands on your arms like this. Some people like to put their hands like this. Those can actually help you hit the brakes and get you out of that sympathetic nervous response, trauma response, into what's called a parasympathetic. And when you're in the parasympathetic, that's when the digestion gets turned back on. That's when healing gets turned back on. That's when the stress is turned off. I actually encourage my clients to deep breathe before they sit down to eat, because sometimes we don't realize the pace that we're running is a stressful pace. But then we ask ourselves to just sit and eat. Our body actually can't digest the food. To understand it scientifically, all of the oxygen in your blood, all of the energy when you're in a stressed response is being funneled to the organs that needs it to fight the woolly mammoth. And so there's no oxygen, there's no blood, there's no energy being funneled to the organs that you would need to digest your food. So that's why this is why nursing moms really can't lose weight. This is why if you're stressed all the time, you literally are gaining weight, you can't lose weight. It's your body actually is not digesting your food properly. And so you have to, I think about like trying to get your body to that optimal place. And that's the parasympathetic. And that deep breathing, the movement, the butterfly hug, all of those things will help lower your stress. And you can do those, before you eat. I even taught my kids to deep breathe before exams, before they have to go do something stressful. And it has helped a lot. They're annoyed by how much I tell them to deep breathe, but it's in there. They're hearing me. I know that they're hearing me. Okay, so far we've covered tuning into your body and really paying attention to your specific limits. We've talked about how managing your stress is not a one size fits all. It's important for you to understand if you're a fighter, a flighter, a freezer, and a fawner. And now we're on to the last tip of the day, and that is slowing down and prioritizing yourself. I cannot stress enough about how my goal is that you would be number one on your priority list. Yes, before your children, before your work, before your family. If I was going to write down my top 5 priorities, my health and well-being is number one all the time. It didn't used to be like that. I think I flip-flopped it. I think I used to be at the bottom. And this isn't about putting your feet up, even though that's key. This is about how you view yourself in your world. It's really about aligning your mindset and the expectations of yourself with the feelings that you want to achieve. So you want to feel better. You don't love the way you're feeling right now, or you don't want to live every day stressed, but you're still not doing the things you need to do in order to achieve that. So you stay in your same routine, doing the same habits, not asking for help, not connecting, not prioritizing yourself. And so then you feel the same. Well, congrats, you're a human being. That's so hard to do. So hard to do on your own. This is literally why 80% of all, is it 80% of all New Year's resolutions fail within 6 weeks? Because January 1st, it's not like I've all of a sudden became a different human being on January 1st. Why do I think all of a sudden I can run 12 miles and read 8 books? We have to set our expectations of ourselves with the reality that we're actually living. And it's hard because I think a lot of us have ideas in our heads about, well, I should feel this way and I should be here. And I saw my neighbor doing that and she didn't look unhappy, or my mom told me that she was at this place, or I'm watching my best friend and she doesn't slow down and she seems to be doing okay, or I've got to keep up with the Joneses, or I've got to get that promotion, or I've got to make that trip happen. We always have these shoulds and have tos. But I think slowing down and realizing it's not about what I should and have to do. It's about what I get to do. And it's about what I want to do. And ultimately, what you get and want to do is coming from a place that's so good and so pure that it's actually going to benefit all the people around you. And so that's why if I tell you to make yourself a priority, a lot of times moms are like, you're crazy. I can't do that. My kids are my priority. I live for my kids. They're my number one. What are you talking about? They're all I need. But remember, going back to that car analogy, you can only burn fuel and you can only run on fumes for so long. Eventually you're going to crash and burn. And the people that are going to suffer the most are the people that you're supposed to be showing up for, including yourself. And so it's really adopting this pace that's, it's very natural. Like you rise with the sun, you set with the sun, right? It's really about prioritizing yourself and paying attention to your limits so that you're setting a day and setting your reality around those limits and around what feels good to you. We so often push through the pain and we don't sleep and we don't question how we feel. And we think feeling like shit is just normal because our friend feels like shit. And I was just complaining they feel bad too. It didn't happen overnight. This is years in the making, but it won't take years to balance out, which is awesome. It's amazing how quickly your body will respond to love and attention and like prioritization. It's amazing how quickly your body can get back into how it wants to be running. Your body wants to be running in that parasympathetic state. It wants to be healed and it wants to be nourished and it wants to be prioritized and loved. So it's not going to take years and years and years. I preach a lot about self-care, rest, and relaxation, not only for your physical self, but it's really about that relationship with yourself. And to help you kick off really tuning into your body, it starts with just daily self-appreciation. As much as even saying like, thank you for taking this hour to listen to this information on stress. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Not only, I don't remember everything Scottie said, but I actually sat down for an hour. That was phenomenal. Like, thank you for doing that. Done. That's your self-appreciation for the day. You get into a habit of where you start to appreciate yourself. It actually just becomes what you do. And it's all of a sudden things just start coming from that springboard. If you're here right now where you're not appreciating yourself, you're not prioritizing yourself, you're used to living stressed, and this is just how you feel. When you start to practice daily self-appreciation, your springboard actually moves here. And then all your decision-making, all your habits, all your actions, all your thoughts start from this place. So it does start to compound on itself, the daily gratitude and the appreciation. It's free. You could start it literally today. And I promise you that to me is self-care. It doesn't have to be a spa day. It doesn't have to be a mask. Like even just looking yourself in the mirror and being like, I love you. Thank you for being here today. If you're ready to say that. It's really about like, how do you see yourself in your life? I ask this of my clients a lot. Are you the lead actress in your own life, or are you a supporting role? I think that's a really hard question you need to ask yourself. And that's really probably where a lot of the work needs to begin. It's if you've spent a life of self-loathing and punishment and self-neglect, then you're never going to be comfortable making yourself a priority. But it does with that I don't want to discourage you, with that self-appreciation and that self-gratitude, even after years of self-loathing and self-neglect, even that tiny little bit is going to make a massive amount of difference. You can flip the switch in how you see yourself in your life. You can literally change your mindset on its head without changing your entire world. In fact, the shifts I've made in my mindset and how I view stress and how it shows up in my life, my kids are not even aware of the work I've done. They just know I yell less. They just know I laugh more. They just know I fall asleep better. They just know I'm not grouchy, but they don't know that I've been working on self-care and prioritization. Their world has not changed at all. They're living their best life right now. And so if you're afraid that prioritizing yourself means that something that matters to you is going to get neglected, it's not. It's actually going to work the opposite. You're going to have more of you to give to them when you start to prioritize yourself and start to remove some of the stress out of your life. It's this crazy, it sounds so simple, but all of a sudden I feel like I'm on a runner's high a lot of the time. And I feel like I've got this surplus of energy and I haven't really changed very much. It's really just changing the way I'm speaking to myself. And it's really the way I respect my body, and I'm tuning into my body and I'm starting to appreciate myself. It's hard to wake up and just decide to make yourself a priority, but you can do little things to help you do that. It's really understanding your limits and honoring those. It is taking some rest and relaxation, daily meditation, breathing, move your body with love, not just punishment. Like I have to move my body to fit into my jeans, or I have to move my body because it's what I'm supposed to do. No, it's more about moving your body, doing something you love because you appreciate your body. Nourishing your body. And there's two forms of nourishment I preach about. Number 2 is food. Number 1 is, what are you listening to? Who are you talking to? What are the kind of conversations that you're having? I think I said this on my podcast. I just stopped going on TikTok. I just stopped. It was triggering me. It was pulling the wrong energies out of me. It was fueling me the wrong way. So that's my recipe. Some people love TikTok, but I was like, I've got to stop. I just needed to remove this from my life. And it made an immediate difference. We have to be very conscious of those types of choices that we're making. And avoiding stressors like processed foods, alcohol, and focusing on your basic needs. The more stress you put on your physical body, it's going to be harder for your body to heal. So just trying to make better decisions about the food and the fuel you're putting in. I'm an 80-20 kind of person. I'm not saying you can't live your life, but if 80% of the time you're choosing good news and good conversations and good lunch, then 20% of the time it's okay, right? Like being a rebel sometimes is actually one of the healthiest things you can do. But just as long as the choices that are better for you are more than the choices that are not better for you. And really, it's about turning off the shoulds and the have tos and the musts, and start thinking about what you're doing in your day as I get to, I want to. It's a real nice mindset shift. It'll also help you realize like, oh gosh, I don't want to be doing XYZ. That feels like a would, have to, and a should and a must. I want to do the get tos. I want to do, and I bet this is getting a little too life coachy, but when you tune into your body and you start to listen to your body and you realize that it's moving you in the right direction, you're really starting to trust your gut and you're starting to trust yourself, and you're not looking out for validation. When you do that, then you can trust that wherever your excitement goes, wherever your energy is going, wherever your passion is going, it is pushing you towards your personal power, where you're supposed to be going. And so then you can actually, this is why I was saying at the beginning of this call, like, I can't believe I get to do this for my work. This is my work and it lights me up so much. But I had to trust myself to find this path for myself. But so that's when I say like our responsibilities, if we tune into ourselves, the things that we have to get done, they should feel like the things we get to do and the things we want to do, not the things that we dread. The way you're feeling is a direct result of the choices that you're making. So if you want to feel better, if you want to feel less stress and enjoy your life more, you really have to make a decision. And you have to make a decision to connect with yourself better, to really tune into what your body's limits are, and to really respect those signs that your body is giving to you, and to realize what are some things you need to really remove from your life. And practicing the connection, the deep breathing, and the movement. Those are 3 things if you could literally start doing today, and they will help lower your stress immediately. And when you lower your stress immediately, then you can start to do the work on like the bigger questions, like, okay, I've got to tune into my body now. I've got to make some choices about where I'm putting myself in situations, in conversations. But we need to get you out of that stress state into the non-stress state before you make those decisions. And that's with the breathing, the movement, and the connection. This is a lot. I'm like spewing at y'all. Is everybody good? There's some chats. Frazzled until I remind myself not to be. Totally. Oh, hey. Does anybody have any questions? I could talk for 17 hours if y'all let me. So if you don't have any questions, that's fine. If you do, raise your hand, or you can drop it in the chat if you don't want to talk. But these are really the key things you need to do to manage your stress. If you need help doing that, I understand that's why I'm here. It's easy for me to say, do A, B, C, and D. Sometimes hard to put that into practice. So just know that I can help you with anything. So, but I'm here. Ask me a question. I can coach you guys. I can coach you for free, even if it's not about stress. How do I plan a girls' weekend every month? Okay, let's do that. One of the things I do think is important when you do start to have these conversations with yourself and get to know yourself better, it is perfectly healthy and actually wonderful to communicate this to the people in your life. So I realized that I am actually a fighter when I am dealt with a stress response. And I needed to tell my husband that, because my first response is to actually like physically respond. And I remember when I had my kid and poor JP, he got upset and hit me in the face. He didn't mean to, but I could feel myself, like my response was protect myself. So I like calmly carried him over and put him in the crib, right? And I just left him there till I cooled down. But I think it's really good for you to realize like, oh my gosh, that's my stress response. I need my partner and the people in my life to know that about me, because it's just more information. It's just data for everybody to have what they need so that you thrive and they understand. So as you learn stuff about yourself and you have people in your life that matter to you and you feel like you want to communicate that with them, it's a really healthy thing to do. And it will actually save you time and energy down the road when everybody knows you better. But yeah, that's it. No questions, really? Okay. You'll feel less stress and ready to tackle the world. Go get it. Well, thanks y'all so much for being here. I love it. Y'all are incredible. And go thank yourself right now for taking this time. Say thank you for taking this time to take care of myself. I am amazing. And start your day that way. Yeah, I love it.
Thank you, Scottie.
Oh yeah, thanks for being here. If anything does come up after this is processed, feel free to reach out. I'm here, okay?
Thanks, Scottie.
All right, y'all. Bye.